Good afternoon, Sonia. It's my immense pleasure to welcome you all for the wonderful session. On behalf of both the departments, I welcome our chief guest, Dr. D. Mohan. Welcome you, sir. I am happy to welcome the correspondent and principal of both the colleges. I extend my warm welcome to the head of the department, faculty members, and students of both the concerns. I am glad to introduce our chief guest, Dr. T. Mohan. He has completed his doctoral degree in management. He has 18 years of experience in industry and academics and published 33 research articles in reputed journals and presented many research papers. He is actively involved in research and consultancy work for government, public and private institutions. He received grants and financial assistance from various agencies and organized many faculty development programs and workshops. And he also acted as a resource person for more than 50 programs related to management research. He is a certified financial education resource person of SEBI. He has received the national level Best Young Teachers Award 2018 and Best Young Faculty Award. Once again, I welcome you, sir. Thank you, Ananda.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I call our Vice Speaker, Dr. T. Mohan, to demystify our minds from the studies. Please, sir.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the nice introduction and the warm welcome. I'm really happy to associate with Congo Arts and Science College in this international conference. Of course, this conference is a collaboration work of Congo Arts and Science College and also Patrician College. So first and foremost, let me congratulate both the Congo Arts and Science College, particularly the Department of Corporate Secretaryship and the Accounting and Finance Department of Patrician College, to coming out with this research on this particular topic. The topic is really mind-blowing because it is the need of the hour, I would say. So the topic on research, innovation and entrepreneurship for sustainable economic development. Okay. So in fact, the research, innovation and entrepreneurship, both these are the goals of the government of India also as far as this decade is concerned. So in that aspect, I see this particular conference is very important and essential. It is the right time in which this event is organized. Okay, so for this, let me congratulate the organizing team, the convener of this particular international conference. So today, I welcome all of you for this session on demystifying research in social science. Okay, so before starting, I would like to share my screen. I hope my voice is audible to everyone. I would like to have some confirmation from the organizing team. Okay, fine. So let me share the screen.
Sir, you're audible, sir.
Fine, ma'am, fine. Just sharing the screen. Yeah, I believe the screen is visible to everyone, right?
Yes, sir.
Fine. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for confirming. So I welcome you all once again for this session on demystifying the research in social science. So what I'm going to do in the next 30 minutes is just to give a glimpse about how the social science research needs to be decoded and carried out. Okay. So that is the purpose of this particular session. And let me start the session. Okay. Let me start the session. Before getting into know what actually the research, particularly social science research, first let us understand what is not a research. Okay. Because the research is a term which is very loosely used by the research community, the academic community, and the scholars, and among the students. So it is important to understand what actually is a research and what actually is not a research. So let me put focus on what actually is not a research. Okay. Research is definitely not a gathering or a collation of facts or information. Because often what we do whenever we start thinking about the research, we always think about collecting a data, some information, or collecting a facts, and then apply certain statistical tools and then publish it. But certainly research is not just about that. In fact, the research is a holistic process this collation of facts, information is just one small part of the entire research process. And more importantly, it is also important to know research is not just an information transfer, because often we come across this. A particular study might have conducted in a specific place. The data, facts, and the information used in that will be applied to a same or a different situation. Okay, a similar or a different situation. So research is certainly not the information transfer alone. In fact, it is a systematic inquiry of a problem. It is a systematic inquiry of a problem. And also let us understand, whenever we talk about a research, what commonly we'll come to know, or first thing, what comes into our mind, what is the statistical tool? Be aware, research is not just applying a statistical tools, or it is not just about the methodology. Methodology just says how to conduct the research. Okay, so it is not just about the methodology. In fact, it is also not a repetition, because nowadays we see a particular topic, say for example, customer satisfaction on government or a particular brand of a government. It is a very common, right? It's a very common. So there are so many researchers are already existing, and the experts of the research community are saying that thank you for not doing a research on what is already done. Okay, so it is important whenever we start a research, please let us make sure some uniqueness or an innovation, novelty is available in that particular topic. Either that uniqueness needs to be in the topic or in the terms of what is the advancement you make in the statistical analysis. Okay, some kind of a uniqueness or innovation definitely is required. And also please be aware, research and in-depth study are totally different. Okay, in the sense, of course, the research is an part, the in-depth study is a part of a research. I'm not denying it, but research is something over and above the in-depth study. In-depth study can be conducted in a very haphazard manner, but please remember, research is a systematic process. Okay, everything we do is in an organized way. Okay, I'm not saying whatever the research results, what we publish is the supreme, because it is a continuous process. Research itself is a continuous process. What is innovation for today may become a very common for tomorrow. Okay, so in that sense, what the research, what we do, the outcome may be unique today, but tomorrow it is a very common. Okay, in that way, it is not a mere in-depth study. It's not just an in-depth study. That's what all we want to understand. And knowing what is not a research, it is also important for us to understand what actually is a research. There is a whole lot of definitions available about the research, but let me put in a simple terms. Okay, what is that? Definitely, the research should have a problem statement. When I say a problem statement, what it is a concise description of an issue, okay, of an issue for which we require a solution. Okay, it's a concise description of an issue. There should be some issue which bothers you. Okay, and you take up a research to find a solution to that concise problem. Okay, that is what all about the initial phase of a research. So it is very important to choose the right problem to make a quality research. Okay. Once we frame a problem statement, obviously what we do collect data, facts, and information in a very systematic manner. Okay, it's in a very systematic manner, because you cannot collect the entire data in one particular geographical area or a group which is highly homogeneous. Okay, the research should really replicate whatever the samples you collect, should really replicate the population, should really talk about the population, entire population. So it is important for us to do a very systematic way of data collection. Let me touch upon this particular topic little later on, okay, because it requires a special attention. Third one, coming to analyzing. Once we collect the data, what we do, we clean the data and then start analyzing and interpreting the results, for which we require a statistical techniques. Okay, a lot of social, econometric techniques are available, and we need to really employ those techniques to make a meaningful inference and to give a solution, possible solution, or to frame or to suggest certain policy measures to the government or a business organization, whatever be it. So research definitely involves analysis and interpretation. Obviously, we do all these things either to gain a new knowledge or to make a significant advancement in the existing knowledge. That is what all about the research. Okay, and in fact, one of the very popular personality, W.V. Braun, okay, is nothing but he's a space architect. He's a space architect and also one of the founding member of a NASA. What he tells is research is what I'm doing when I don't know what I'm doing. So what actually it mean? It mean while starting a research itself, we cannot set a clear goal in the sense what we need to achieve, what will be the outcome. The goal will be there, I'm not denying it, but what is going to be an outcome? Nobody knows that. Okay, so that's why the research is what I'm doing when I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, it's a very popular saying in the research community, and the person who said also adds more significance considering one of the world's foremost the research institution, particularly in the defense and the satellite launches, NASA. He is the one of the founding member of NASA. So after understanding what is research and definitely what is not a research, it is important to know what are the different steps involved in the research process. Okay, let me make it a very simple. The first one is it is important for us to identify one subject area. Okay, this is a domain or this is an area in which I would like to do my research. Okay, this area may be very wide. It may be a particular industry or a particular issue, but with a larger scope. Okay, say I will give you one example. Since it's a conference on social science, let me take the same example. Say one of the issue may be a domestic violence. Okay, so domestic violence, I want to do a research on domestic violence. It is a very broader, it is a subject area. Then I define what is the problem. Okay, why I want to do it. Okay, I need to identify the problem. Okay, then I have to do the literature review very sincerely, because the literature reviews will add a significant knowledge to us. What are the pre-existing studies are available in the chosen domain, okay, in domestic violence? What are the researches which is already done, through which you will get a significant knowledge, and you won't do a repetitive research. Okay, you won't do a repetitive work, because a repetitive work cannot be termed as a research. Because most of the time, if people fail to do a very exhaustive or a very wider literature review, what happens is most of the time we tend to do a research which has been already done, which means we are not adding any value to the either for us or to the society, whatever be it. Okay. The fourth one, after doing a detailed literature review, it is important for us to choose the appropriate research design. Okay, because research design is something like an outline which talks about, or a blueprint which talks about how we carry out the research, how we are planning to conduct our research. There are different ways, different designs through which you can able to conduct a research. Some of the popular research designs which are used in the social science are descriptive research. Okay, phenomena. Okay, mostly done through the survey method. Okay, you also do some sort of analytical research. Okay, where you try to find the cause and effect relationship between the variables, which may be a policy suggestions for your business organization, or sometimes even to the government as well. Okay, then obviously after that we also employ, apart from the descriptive study and analytical study, another popular research design what we have is an empirical study. Okay, where we have to empirically prove our findings. Okay, that means it is certainly based on certain quantitative data. Okay, and empirical study gives us a scope or a flexibility to cross-verify the accuracy of our study, because it's purely based on certain data. Anybody who wants to investigate or wants to verify the accuracy of our research, obviously empirical design will give a lot of scope from that perspective. So after choosing that research design, the important step is data collection techniques. There are different ways in which we collect the data, right? In social science particularly, because whenever we want to study about the human behavior, okay, what we do, what may be the obvious data collection technique. Okay, it may be observation. Just go and observe the people. Say, for example, how the people reacts to a particular product introduced by a firm A. Okay, so whether the people are getting excited, or they are simply satisfied, or they got disappointed. Okay, if you want to know, simply you want to study the behavior, how the people behave. Okay, or how the people behave to a particular advertisement which has been rolled out very recently. Okay, how the people are reacting to it. Okay, some sort of study requires based on observation in such a cases. Other than that, we also collect the data through survey. Okay, that means we ourselves collect the data, or we appoint an enumerator through which we'll collect the data. Okay, so most of the times field visits are very difficult. Okay, the researcher himself cannot able to manage. That is where the research assistants, the roles of the research assistants are important. And in fact, the qualified and well-trained research assistants is definitely a mandatory. It is a mandate. Okay, because otherwise all your process may go in vain. If any mistakes, say a mistake can be a measurement mistake. Okay, or sometimes it can be a mistake which happens in the field work, or it can be a mistake in the data cleaning process. Okay, it will affect. There may be an outlier. Okay, so we have to identify the outlier and we have to omit it, or we have to correct that. Okay, otherwise we will end up in getting a wrong results. Okay, so that's where the data collection, different data techniques, collection techniques are available. Of course, when we go for a survey method, we use a very wide questionnaire. Okay, a structured questionnaire needs to be prepared, preferably in a Likert scale format. Okay, in case if it is a descriptive study. In case if it is an empirical study, quantitative study, what we do, we collect some data. Okay, it can be a secondary data also. Okay, then obviously once we collect the data, we need to process the data. When I talk about the processing and analysis, I am talking about the statistical inference. The reason why the statistical inference is important is we collected data only from a small sample, and the results of that we are going to infer to the larger population. Okay, in fact, we are generalizing the result based on the samples to the entire population. So that means we need to process the data properly using a proper statistical tools, and we need to infer the results given by the softwares, because mostly the data processing nowadays is done through softwares. We have, for social science, we have so many softwares, right? SPSS, we have AMOS, we have for a structural equation modeling, SAS, JMP, all these things. Okay, for secondary data, again, you have a very free softwares like OR. Okay, that is also there, Grittle, eViews, all these are the different softwares which are available through which you can able to process. Then obviously, once we analyze the data, the next step is about the implication and conclusion. So what is the research implication? What our research study throws light on? Okay, what is that final thing, what our research is trying to say? Okay, based on which some policies can be framed. Some benefits needs to be given to either to the organization or a society. Okay, our project should definitely add a value. It needs to either provide a value to the individual or an organization or the society as a whole. Okay, sometimes in economics or a corporate secretaryship, it may be a policy implication study where you suggest a policy to the economists or the people who devise the policy for the government. Okay, say for example Niti Aayog, etc. You take any problem, social problem, and you study it and infer the result, and you suggest this is what, by doing this, definitely the welfare of the people will be improved. That is the implications actually. You conclude it and finally publish the result. These are the different steps involved in the research process. And when I talk about the research process, as I told you, the first thing is we need to choose the area in which we are planning to do a research. So it is very much important to spend a considerable amount of our time in choosing the subject area on which we are doing a research, because a thorough study is required. Haphazardly, if we choose some topics, later on we will find it very difficult. And because say many people, many my scholars, students, or my colleagues also, I am saying, they have chosen a topic just because their supervisor told or some of their friends suggested, they have chosen it. But After spending 2 years or 3 years, then they will see that there is no scope for further improvement or no newness available in the study. Sometimes it doesn't even make a significant value. It won't bring any value. In such a cases, they will find very difficult to proceed further. And they also cannot come back because they have spent already 2 or 3 years of a time. So no going back. If they come back, obviously they are missing out the 3 years of valuable time they spent on that particular topic. So it is very much important to analyze, understand the topic. Whatever we choose needs to be an interesting area for the researcher. Without interest, we cannot do a research, please. The research should come out of our interest. Research cannot be done through compulsion. That we all need to understand. And so it is important to introspect ourselves and to find out what is our area of interest. And in that area, we have to choose a problem and then we have to proceed. Okay. So it is important to spend a quality time on this. Don't make any decisions in a hurry. You will end up in a problem later on. Okay. And whenever we do a research, let us also understand there are certain assumptions underlying in the scientific method, because we know that it is a systematic or a scientific method of exploring the unlearned things. That is what all about the research. Okay, but however, the research has certain assumptions. Okay, what are the assumptions? One is definitely an order. When I say an order, what I try to say here is it is a link between the event and causes. That means there is some kind of a relationship should be there. Some hidden patterns should be available. We try to explore it because some hidden patterns available in the variable or between the variables. One variable may cause the other variable. There may be a cause and effect relationship. Okay, so some relationship should be there. Some kind of an order needs to be there. Only then the research is possible. If there is no relationship, obviously we cannot do research. Research is impossible in such a situation. Second one, whatever the topic we choose, the research area, we need to define it very precisely and very in a parsimonial way. When I say a parsimonial way, you have to present it in a very precise and in a shorter form. Okay, don't unnecessarily make it complex. Okay, don't have a lengthy sentences, lengthy formulas, all those things. Okay, you have to make it parsimonious. Parsimonious means with a small equation, you can able to explain the bigger problem. That is what about the parsimonious. Okay, without sacrificing the outcome. By having a smaller equation or a smaller simple model, you can explain the entire phenomena. That is what a parsimony. Okay, so obviously the research is based on that also. And very importantly, please remember, again repeating, whatever the data we collect is only a samples. And through samples, what we do when we build a model, we estimate the estimates. When I say estimates, say for example, the model says demand depends upon alpha plus beta income. Okay, income is an independent variable here, demand is a dependent variable here. Alpha and beta are called estimates. The reason is we are collecting a data only from the samples. Okay, it is we use say regression analysis or any type of a momentum analysis, generalized least square analysis, or maximum likelihood method. These are the different estimators available through which we estimate the value of alpha and beta. Okay, once we find out the value of alpha and beta, those values are called estimates. The method or a system through which we estimators. Okay, once we get that values, what we are trying to find, we are going to generalize the result of the sample to the entire population. Okay, that needs to be there, the generalization. So for that should be a long run relationship. Only in a long run we can able to derive a result from the equation and we can generalize to the population. Okay. Yeah, very quickly, I'll go through the steps in formulating a research. As I told you, first thing is we need to identify the broad field or subject area of our own interest. But however, the broad field may be very, very bigger problem. Okay, it's a very bigger problem. It may be a too large or very abstract to examine as a whole. It may be sometimes very abstract to examine as a whole. Okay, very complex to examine as a whole. So it is important to dissect. Dissect means dividing the entire problem into small areas, okay, the broader problem into small sub areas, so sub problems that we need to do. Then select what is the most interest out of that sub problems, because we cannot study the entire problem. We all have certain limitations in resources, limitations in terms of money, limitations in terms of a time. So we cannot study the entire problem. Okay, even that is your area of interest. In the area of interest, we need to find out one small area. Okay, among the different sub areas, what is the one sub area which makes us interest, that we need to find out. And for that, we need to come up with the possible research questions. Okay, the research question is all about what, why, when, how, all those things. Okay, we need to ask all those things. Then formulate the objectives and hypothesis. Objective, we know what we are trying to achieve through this research. Okay, and hypothesis is basically an assumption. Whenever we do a research, we always have some kind of an assumption. Okay, it's a tentative assumption, and we try to either prove it or disprove it by collecting a data and doing a statistical inference. Okay, then assess your research objectives and hypothesis. Before proceeding, it is important to assess whatever the objective what we framed, is it feasible to get a result for that? Is it feasible to find a solution for that objective? That is what we need to find out. Okay. Similarly, the hypothesis, whatever we are setting, is it possible to get a result through by applying a statistical tools? That we need to do. Then we again double check it. So what I'm trying to did here is I have given more emphasis on the research problem. Okay, the entire research problem, because that is the most important area. And when I come to the research process, it is when I talk about the research process, I'm talking about the steps involved in the entire research. Okay, so that needs to be done very systematically. As I told you, the research process is the heart of any research project, and it is the foundation. Okay, and it is the foundation for all kind of research solutions. Only with the proper process we can able to get a desired solution or accurate solution. Paramount. Obviously, the success we may be denied with the success. Okay, so in that aspect, we have to give more focus on the research process. So let me just, what I try to mention here is how to, once we decide that, okay, this is my research area, this is a sub-theme, okay, then it is important for us to raise as much as questions possible out of the sub-theme. Okay, I'll give you a real illustration in the next slide. Okay, maybe I may take another 10 minutes. So finding a research question, yeah, definitely. So what the research question, there should be a curiosity. The researchers should always have that curiosity. What will happen when I want to do this? Okay, why this is happening? Okay, all those things that talks about the curiosity. And the researcher needs to find the information gap, because already the literature is available. You cannot do the same. You have to add value, or you have to come up with some uniqueness, newness. Okay, so it is important for us to first understand the gap, because any topic you take, literally I'm speaking, almost all the topics the research has already done. In such a cases, what will be our role? Our role will be mainly on adding value to the existing research. Okay, and very rarely, hardly 2 or 3% of the research will be a totally novel. Otherwise, most of them will be a value additions. Okay, but significant value addition is mandatory for a research, and there should be some controversy happening in the research problem. Otherwise, it is not at all a problem, right? Everything is written, it's a black and white. Then what? There is no scope for doing a research. Okay, there should be a controversy. Okay, only then we can able to study, take that topic, and we try to give a solution to that controversy. And please do avoid the replication and do a very extensive literature review. This is where most of the researchers are underplaying. They are underplaying. They are not giving significant importance to this. Okay, as a result, they are failed to coming up with the new outcomes. So what I would say is, whenever you raise a research question, please follow this finer model. Finer model, if you observe here, I have mentioned, whether the research question, whether is it feasible to carry out the research? You cannot see, just objectives can be anything, but is it feasible? Okay, a very larger problem, you cannot do it, right? As an individual researcher. So you see whether what is the viability of doing the research. That is very, very important. Then the research needs to be an interesting, okay? It should be an interesting topic. Otherwise, nobody will read your research thesis. And there should be some novel, okay? Some uniqueness or some kind of a innovation should be there. Ethical, obviously, we have to follow the ethical practice, because research is a systematic process, and the results of the research is will be generalized to the entire population. If you are not ethical, loyal to our research, then the outputs will definitely go wrong. That means actually we are giving a wrong information to the society. Relevant, obviously, we need to ensure that always our research is relevant to the society, or a societal problem, or an economic problem, or a human behavioral problem, etc. Okay, so please let us follow this finer criteria to whenever we are setting a research question. So I'll take another 5 minutes. So the steps involved in the formulation of a research problem, just I will give you a glimpse. Okay, so far whatever I have told is very theoretical, but I want to give some kind of an illustration so that the participants will have a clarity how to go about the research in social science. Okay, so first one is identify a broad field or a subject of your area of interest. As I told you, I have taken domestic violence as my subject. But domestic violence, it's a very, very huge problem, right? I cannot address, there are so many components available in it. I can't do a research within a given period of 3 to 5 years. The entire, if I take entire domestic violence. So I need to find, I want to choose a part of a domestic violence, which can be, which is feasible for me, which I can comfortably able to complete within the given. And I also should have a sufficient resource to do it. So what I do, I dissect, that is, I break the entire domestic violence into different components, okay, different components. So dissecting a broad area into sub areas, that's what I do. Once I do it, please focus here. This is the domestic violence is the bigger area, the area of interest, the area of research. But what are the sub components? In domestic violence, these are the few possible research we can do, okay. We can't do all. We can't do a research in any one of this. Okay, so what may be the first one? The first may be the profile of a families in which domestic violence occurs, because domestic violence is not happening to everybody; it is happening to certain families. Okay, so it is important to understand what type of families will face a domestic violence. Similarly, who are all the victims whenever the domestic violence happens? Most of the time, who are the possible victims available? It may be a woman, it may be a children, sometimes of late, of course, it is also a man, possibly. Okay, mental harassment, so many things are there. Okay, all those things are a domestic violence. Then profile of perpetrators, that means the people who cause the domestic violence. Okay, what kind of a people will create a domestic violence? Understanding their human behavior itself is a separate study. Fourth one, the reasons for domestic violence. Okay, so why this domestic violence is happening? What are the different factors which contribute to domestic violence? Okay, what are the various reasons? We need to identify it. That itself is an exploratory study. Okay. Then extent and types of domestic violence, as I told you. Once we identify the domestic violence, to what extent the domestic violence is happening, and what are the various types of domestic violence? Human trafficking is there. Okay, so many things are there, right? So what kind of, say for example, dowry may be another domestic violence issue, very common in India. Okay, so we need to identify that studying on different types of domestic violence, okay, and its consequences itself can be a part of a thesis, okay, or itself can be a particular research. Then impact of domestic violence on family, very important. Okay, so whenever domestic violence happens, what kind of negative impacts it create on a family? It's because the impacts are numerous, to be very frank. Okay, so this is very easily can be one of the elaborate research topic. Then impact of domestic violence on children, specifically somebody who wants to do a research on a child welfare, etc. then they can take what are the impact or what is the effect of domestic violence on children, how their mental well-being is getting affected, okay, how they lose the focus, whether how they lose the focus on their career growth. All those things can be easily addressed. Then services available to the victims of domestic violence. Obviously today the government and a lot of NGOs are having a certain redressal forums, and also resolutions are happening. Okay, they are coming, extending their hand in helping the victims of the domestic violence. Okay, so that can be, because doing a study on this, we can suggest to the NGOs and government, okay, where the services are missing, where the services are available, where the services are missing, what needs to be filled in, so that the victims can be ensured that they won't lose focus, okay, and they will be taken care in future. Then effectiveness of services provided to the victims. Okay, many services like counseling, etc., has been provided. To what extent those services, okay, rehabilitation centers are there. Okay, so how effectively those things are functioning, and how effectively their services are useful to the people, that can be studied. Extent of domestic violence in a community. Okay, so these are some of the sub areas which we can do under the domestic violence. Okay, so among the one, all we need to do is we need to choose one which is most interesting for us. Then we have to raise the research question using the finer formula, okay, which we discussed a little before. Then formulate the objectives. Then we have to assess the objective, double check whether whatever we have formulated, the objectives and the hypothesis, is it feasible to conduct the study, considering what are the constraints and the limitations we are facing. As I told you, human resource limitation may be there. Okay, the money, maybe a finance, maybe another problem, time may be another problem. Okay, so these are some constraints. Given the constraints, how far we can able to do that we need to evaluate properly. Okay, when you fail to do this, obviously we are inviting a trouble in future. Okay, so whatever I discussed, I have put it in a simple step-to-step guide, okay, to make sure how I see in domestic violence. What I have done here is, step one, I identified one reason for domestic violence. Okay, there are so many reasons like dowry, etc. I told you. I have taken alcoholism. Okay, so alcoholism, we know that it is a well-known fact. It obviously creates a domestic violence. Okay, so it creates a discomfort within the family, creates a violence in the family. Okay, so I want to study about alcoholism, but impact of alcoholism itself is a very bigger problem. So I don't want to take everything. What I want to do now, I want to dissect that into small areas. Okay, first one, profile of alcoholics. What kind of people are alcoholics? When they become an alcoholic? What are the different causes of alcoholism? The process of becoming an alcoholic, what induces them to become an alcoholic, can be studied. The effects of alcoholism on family can be studied. Okay. Obviously, the negative effects will be there. Okay. The community attitudes towards an alcoholism, how the community will see a person who is an alcoholist. Okay, how they behave, what is the community's attitude towards them, that also can be studied. The effectiveness of a treatment model, as I told you, somebody who wants to get rid of or get free of alcoholism, okay, they will undergo a treatment. So how effective the treatment which are available in the hospitals are good in making an alcoholist to convert into a non-alcoholist. So then, among these research, say for example, let me assume I am choosing one sub area, that is an effect of alcoholism on family. I have taken. Okay, I want to study this. So this is my research topic, effect of alcoholism on family. Now, on this, I have to raise the research question. So what kind of a research question I can raise on this particular topic? One is, what impact has alcoholism on marital relationship? Okay, obviously, impact of alcohol on marital relations. Second one, how does it affect the various aspects of children's life? Third one, what are the effects of family finances? Because whoever consume alcoholism, obviously the family, we are seeing that they are deprived of money. Okay. So these are the possible research questions I am asking. Whatever I am saying is just the samples. Okay. You can further explore. What I am doing is I am giving a blueprint or an outline which can guide any researcher how to go about with the research. Okay. Step 5, formulate the objective. Once we raise the research questions, then we can formulate the objectives. What is the objective here? I want to find out the effect of alcoholism on family. That is my primary research objective. That is the research topic, in fact. Okay. In that, what are the specific objectives I want to? These specific objectives are nothing but the research questions. Whatever the research questions we raised, we converted in the same into an objective. Okay. So what are those? First one is to ascertain the impact of alcoholism on marital relations. Then to determine the ways in which alcoholism affects the various aspects of children's life. Third one, to find out the effect of alcoholism on financial situation of a family. This is how we have to, because research questions, based on research questions only, we have to frame an objectives. Okay. Because we are addressing the questions, the problems, right? So our objective definitely needs to address certain problems, small problems. So each address towards the small problems can be converted into an objective. Then once we frame the objectives, we need to make sure, okay, what we have to evaluate ourselves, or we have to further check ourselves, verify ourselves or assess ourselves given the objectives. Okay. So we have to assess whatever the objectives, what we have defined here is whether the work involved, okay, whether can we able to complete the work involved, the time available for us within that can be able to complete, whatever the financial resources at our disposal, is it adequate to do this work? Okay, because some research work may require extensive traveling if you choose a very different topic. Say, for example, you want to study the impact of alcoholism on the families of 4 states in South India. Then obviously it requires extensive travel, right? So you have to further introspect yourself. Then you need to double check all those things, the technical expertise, whether you possess the technical expertise to do the research. If you have, I'm not saying that at this point of time you should have a complete technical expertise, but you should have an that attitude to learn the technical aspects, to learn the statistical models, to learn how to conduct this research in a systematic way. Once we do it, we have to double check before proceeding, because once we proceeding, obviously what we do, the next step, we build a model. Okay, research model needs to be there. What will be the research model? Obviously the research model it's all about the effect of alcoholism on the family member. Okay, what are the different contributing factors? We try to put it in a pictorial format. Okay, that is a research, or sometimes the research model can be expressed in equations. So that means we are converting the real life problem into a statistical equations. Okay, so we try to collect the data, infer the data, and then again we are going to re-infer to the entire real-time problems. Okay. Then we formulate the hypothesis. We do a pilot study, is very, very important. Pilot study means with a small sample. First, say if your sample size is 40, first you do with the 30, then you see what are the difficulties you face, whatever the questionnaire you framed, is it sufficient to capture the further results? Because it is a time to correct your mistakes. Otherwise, after collecting the entire data, if you come to know something went wrong, you missed out something very important which is required for your study, then everything will go wrong. So you have to do a pilot study with small sample and do a statistical analysis and check what kind of a results you can expect further if you go for a large scale data collection. Okay. Then obviously we collect the data, we clean the data, process it, and then we do a statistical model estimation. That is all about finding the values of alpha and beta, etc. How far each variables are significantly contributing to the variation of a dependent variable. Okay, that is what we do in a model estimation and statistical inference. Finally, you draw a conclusion and suggest certain policies, what needs to be done, and happily you publish your work. Okay. So some of the common mistakes. So that's about what I have covered. Just before winding up, I want to touch upon 3 points. The problem specification. Please ensure while choosing a problem, please don't choose a very broader problem, because many of my friends, they are suffering because of it. Where to end? They don't know where to end. Okay. Say one of the example problems in Indian financial system. this cannot be your research topic because there are numerous problems and the scope are very, very larger. You as an individual researcher definitely cannot do it. It is not possible. So be very specific and take a very smaller area and do a very in-depth research. Okay, that's how we build an expertise. Okay, we cannot be an expertise in a wider range of area. One area which, say, in that area, if somebody wants to remember who is a renowned person, obviously your names will be appearing. Okay, that is how you can become a renowned person in that particular field of study. Then obviously not a value. Okay, so that means a research problem which is very trivial, insignificant, and all, don't choose it. When you do a research study, it should definitely give some value. It should have some value. Okay, don't take very simple research study. Okay, just a comparison study, or does a home reading helps to develop a student, or whether the primary school teachers are creative. Such kind of a very trivial, very trivial topics also don't take. That should be, once you do a research, you should provide some values. Okay, so I think this is about what are the different steps involved in conducting a research in social science. Okay, so definitely it is not a mystery. The research in social science definitely is not a mystery. We can demystify it. Okay, I think by following this framework, you can easily able to do a quality research in social science. With this, I would like to say thanks to the organizers, and I also wish all the research community to do a quality research and add value to the society. Thank you. At this point of time, at this outset, I would like to thank two people, especially who made me to be a part of this international conference. One is Dr. Alagappan sir, okay, the head of the Department of Corporate Affairs of Congo Arts and Science College. Of course, Professor Manjusha from Patrician College also contacted. So my special thanks goes to both of them. Of course, at this point, I also want to express my gratitude towards my professor, Dr. Shenbhaganathan, who connected me to Alagappan sir. Without that, this is not possible. Thank you for the opportunity. If you have any questions, I'm open to that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your clarifying and socially responsible speech. Gratitude is the precious gift which can be given to all. I request Dr. C. Vidya, Assistant Professor, Department of Corporate Affairs and Professional Accounting, to accompany the Formulate, to express everyone's gratitude through a vote of thanks.
Good afternoon to one and all here. I, on the behalf of Congo Arts and Science College and Pattern College, Chennai, thank each and everyone who are present in this gathering. I extend my special thanks towards the management and principal for supporting us to start our next great step towards success. I deliver my sincere thanks to our chief guest, Dr. Mohansundaram, Associate Professor, M.S. Ramaya Institute of Technology, Bangalore, who graciously accepted our invitation and made this day a remarkable one. I further thank all of our colleagues for their constant support and encouragement. I thank all the participants for your assistance, attention. Once again, I thank everyone for making this session a grand success. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Conducting a conference is like making a legendary film. It needs the contribution of even the simplest member to be successful. It's time to thank everyone and end this legendary conference. Of course, valediction may be the last part of any forum, but the best part lies in it. I invite Dr. E.P. Govindan sir, Associate Professor and Controller of Examinations, Department of Corporate Secretaryship with CE, and Professor of Accounting, Tonga Arts and Science College, to welcome everyone and introduce our speaker.
Good afternoon to everyone. Education is a shared commitment between dedicated teachers and motivated students. With all my affable greetings, on behalf of the Department of Corporate Secretaryship and Professional Accounting, I welcome you all for this valediction program of International Conference on Research, Innovation, and Entrepreneurship for Sustainable Economic Development. I am delighted to offer a warm welcome to our esteemed correspondent, Thiru P.D. Thangavel Avargal, and our beloved principal, Dr. N. Raman, for today's event. It's my proud privilege to extend my heartiest welcome to our esteemed chief guest, Mr. Joshua Gerard, Chief Operating Officer, Tamil Nadu Advanced Technical Training Institute, who has spared his valuable time amidst his busy schedule. It is to Dr. Arundhya Swami Das, Vice Principal, Dr. Stanislaus, Director and Secretary, and Dr. M. Meenaji, Associate Professor, Department of Finance, faculty members and students from Practicing College of Arts and Science, Chennai. I am excited to welcome Dean Academics, Dr. H. Vasudevan, and our head of the department, Dr. K.K. Alagappan, and my colleagues who never settle for average. It's my pleasant duty to welcome our enthusiastic students who challenge us every day to move forward. Now it's a time to introduce our chief guest. I am deeply appreciative and pleased to introduce our esteemed chief guest, Mr. Joshua Gerard, Chief Operating Officer, Tamil Nadu Advanced Technical Training Institute. He is also acting as Organizing Secretary, Tamil Nadu Field Archery Development and Welfare Association, Advisor for Apostolic International University and RM Education Trust. His various other roles include General Secretary of St. Thomas Mount Social Welfare Committee, Associate Member, in Engineers Without Borders and Madras Management Association. He is a district secretary, Chennai, in Roller Skating Association and a member in Christian Foundation for the Blind India. He has to his credit for receiving the prestigious Abdul Kalam Award for Young Entrepreneurs. He has trained more than 1 lakh candidates so far, and his repertoire of clients include Tamil Nadu Police Department, ISRO, and the Bombay Stock Exchange, where he conducted training for the CSR projects and numerous prestigious colleges across South India. I am extremely happy to invite our today's chief guest, Mr. Joshua Gerard, Chief Operating Officer, Tamil Nadu Advanced Technical Training Institute, to address the gathering. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for the warm introduction. So it gives me immense pleasure to be here and to connect with all of you.
Thank you, sir. Now I invite Dr. K.K. Alagappan, sir, Associate Professor and Head, Department of Government Secretaryship with CA and Professional Accounting, to present the report of this noteworthy conference and reveal the best procedure of this conference.
I am pleased to connect with you all on this 7th September 2022 through hybrid mode, that is through online and offline. On behalf of the Department of Corporate Secretaryship with Computer Applications and Professional Accounting of Kongu Arts and Science College, Erode, and Department of Corporate Secretaryship and Accounting and Finance of Perpetrators College of Arts and Science, Chennai, I am glad to present the International Conference Report on Research, Innovation, Entrepreneurship for Sustainable Economic Development. Today's international conference was inaugurated by Dr. Iniya Tendal, co-founder and Charitable Foundation, Boston, USA, along with P.D. Tangavel, correspondent, Dr. N. Raman, principal, and Dr. H. Vasudevan, Dean Academics from Kongu Arts and Science College, Erode, along with Dr. A. Stanislas, Director and Secretary, Dr. Usha Josh, Principal, Dr. Geeta Rufus, and Dr. B. Meena, Vice Principal of Perpetrators College of Arts and Science, Chennai. Nigunj Panchal, Project Lead at Startup Tamil Nadu, addressed the technical session 1 on entrepreneurial avenues in the current scenario. Technical session 2 was addressed by Khalid Sulaiman Al-Salhi, Director, Industrial Incubators and Innovation from Oman, Muscat. He addressed on innovation. Dr. T. Mohana Sundaram, Associate Professor, Department of Management Studies, MS Ramaya Institute of Technology, Bangalore, was the resource person for the technical session 3, and he addressed on demystifying research on social science. Around 75 papers were presented in today's international conference. We had 3 tracks for paper presentation. Moderators for the first track is Dr. Fenella Aegis Lilin, Associate Professor of Commerce, Bishop Heber College, Trichy. And the second track, the moderator is Dr. Anuradha Prasad, Assistant Professor of Management Studies, MOP Vaishnava College for Women. And the moderator for the third session is Dr. G. Joycey Linba, Assistant Professor from Loyola College, Chennai. More than 100 research papers were accepted and published after double-blind review. The editorial committee members are Dr. D. Kumaresan, Professor and Director of Commerce, KSR College of Arts and Science, Tiruchendur, Dr. S. Shenpaganathan, Assistant Professor of Commerce, Raja Darasingham Government Arts College, Sivagangai, Dr. Fenella Aegis Lilin, Associate Professor of Commerce, Bishop Heber College, Trichy, Dr. K. Padmanathan, Associate Professor of Corporate Secretaryship, Bharathidasan Government College for Women, Puducherry, Dr. N. Rajavel, Principal of Selvam College of Arts and Science, Tiruchendur, Dr. A. Morarji, Professor of Corporate Secretaryship, Alagappa University, Karaikudi, and Dr. T. Mohana Sundaram, Associate Professor of Management Studies, MS Ramaya Institute of Technology, Bangalore. Around 1,000 participants have registered for this international conference from various parts of India and from abroad. And now they are connected through virtual media, that is through our YouTube channel, from both of the institutions, namely from Kongo Arts and Science College, Erode, and Petrosian College of Arts and Science, Chennai. Finally, now we are in the valedictory session, and we have Dr. Joshua Gerard, Chief Operating Officer, Tamil Nadu Advanced Technical Training Institute, who will be giving the valedictory address. Kongo Arts and Science College, Erode, and Petrosian College of Arts and Science, Chennai, likes to place on record its gratitude to all the academicians, experts, editorial committee members, chief guests, resource person, professors, research scholars, and participants. With this, I thank all of you and conclude the conference report. Thank you. I am glad to announce the best paper presenter award. Among all the presenters, considering all aspects with the consent of the moderators, I am glad to announce Sandhya, slot number 5, who is a research scholar from the Department of Economics, Holy Cross College, from Nagarkoil, is selected as the best paper presented award. And she presented on the topic an economy study on our embroidery business in Nagarkoil district. So Sandhya is declared as the best paper presenter. Thank you.
I invite our reputed speaker, Mr. Joshua Gerard, Chief Operating Officer, Tamil Nadu Advanced Technical Training Institute, to present the valedictory address. Please, sir.
Warm greetings to everyone. It gives me immense pleasure to be a part of this particular program. I think more of this kind of programs is required. I would first like to congratulate Petrosian College of Arts and Science, Kongo Arts and Science College, Department of Accounting and Finance, and Corporate Secretaryship for organizing such kind of programs on research, especially research, innovation, and entrepreneurship. I very strongly believe that entrepreneurship is the key need of the hour, and a direction and a lot of effort in this direction is very important in this particular situation. So first I would like to congratulate Sandhya from Nagarkoil, and I happen to be in Nagarkoil today. It gives me great pleasure to congratulate Sandhya for winning in such a huge tough competition which was being conducted. So just my thoughts very quickly, since we come to the fag end of the program, just my thoughts. Firstly, to all the people, to all the youngsters who are listening, so many people think that entrepreneurship is difficult, entrepreneurship is risky. Okay, I think this pandemic has put to rest that even a job, let us assume you take up a job, post your college or post your research work, you take up a job, you can be fired anytime. Let it be a government job or let it be a private sector job. You can be fired anytime without any prior information. Your company can close down anytime and they did not need to give you an explanation. So you are taking a risk for somebody else's dream if you're working in a particular organization. I would like to tell all my fellow youngsters who are listening to this particular program that believe in yourself and take a risk for yourself. It's much better to believe in yourself rather than believing in somebody else's dream. Okay. So when is the best time to take this risk, or when is the best time to start your own company? It is when you are doing your research work, or it is when you are in your college days. that is the best time when you can take a risk. Not at the age of 50, not at the age of 60. So when you are young, you have a lot of energy and you can definitely take risk and you can definitely be successful in a period of time. Next, the most important aspect is research. I strongly believe that most of the entrepreneurs, especially young entrepreneurs, fail because they do not do enough of research in what businesses they are trying to do. So any business you're trying to do, there's a lot of learning which requires before you start the business, a lot of research work as to how much of investment is required, number one, what is going to be the return of investment, what is going to be the running expenses, what is the profit model, do you want it to be a private limited company completely, or you want to add more partners, do you want to become a public limited company? There are many people who build a company to sell the company very shortly. So you have to be very clear as to what your interest and what your idea lies. You have to be very clear in that. So having said all that, you have to be very strong. You have to do a lot of research before you start your own venture, especially if you're having an angel investor or a venture capitalist. Okay. So let us assume you're not able to get the funding which is required. Will you be able to go ahead and start it on your own, even though you're not able to get a venture capitalist or you're not able to get an angel investor? Okay. So this is the question which you have to ask yourself. Okay. So innovation. So today, if any business has to be successful, innovation is the need of the hour. Without innovation, without using technology, you cannot start any business. No business without innovation or technology. Okay. So having said that, I would like to summarize entrepreneurship is the key for sustainable economy. Okay. If you look at all the developed nations, they are developed nations today not because of one or two multinational companies, not because of few companies which provide a large number of jobs. It is because of hundreds and thousands of small and medium scale enterprises. It is because of these small and medium scale enterprises that the countries which we call developed nations, such as the United States of America, the United Kingdom, Germany, and henceforth Australia, all the companies, they are developed nations today because of lakhs and crores of small and medium scale entrepreneurs. India is a young country, Tamil Nadu is a young state, and we have a lot of future for entrepreneurship. So I would urge all of you to take up entrepreneurship, do a lot of research before you become entrepreneurs, make sure it is sustainable, make sure you do proper research, make sure you use technology, and innovation will definitely be the key to successful future. So once again, I take this opportunity to congratulate Petition College of Arts and Science, Congo College of Arts and Science, the Department of Accounting and Finance, Corporate Secretaryship for organizing such kind of conferences and such kind of program, especially having a program which is in person and online. I think it's a great initiative, and these kind of initiatives are the need of the hour. Hope you organize much more programs. And on behalf of myself and my institution, Tamil Nadu Advanced Technical Training Institute, we would definitely extend our heartfelt gratitude and support to any kind of programs. So once again, all the best, and to all the participants as well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to call Dr. Arundhati Geeta Das, Vice Principal, Shift 2, Patrician College of Arts and Science, to facilitate the valedictory function. Please, ma'am.
Respected dignitaries on the dais, officials of Congo Arts and Science College, I would like to congratulate the collaborative effort of Petition College of Arts and Science and Congo Arts and Science, which itself an innovative initiative, because we see this program being organized in a hybrid mode. We can see Congo Arts and Science College participants and officials from here, and they can see Petition College of Arts and Science officials and students participating in the program. That itself shows that this program is the biggest success that has been organized by the Department of Corporate Secretaryship and Accounting Finance of Petition College, and Department of Corporate Secretariat, Computer Application and Professional Program Accounting of Congo Arts and Science College. It's a very big collaborative effort and initiative taken. At the outset, the innovation that I have seen in the invitation was itself an innovative invitation. It was handmade, a very creative one. As we have seen, the topic today is research, innovation, entrepreneurship for a sustainable economic development. We know that if you do not innovate, we perish today. We are living in a world of technology, and today we see that because of pandemic, there is so much of change. Is a word that has been spoken by every individual. But I would like to highlight the vision of India in the year 2015. When the central government took over, they brought in one mantra, make in India. Make in India, because so long, till 2015, we have been using made in China. So the concept of made in China has been turned into make in India. So that itself is an innovation and an innovative strategy adopted by the government, and it did not end at the center alone. It started with higher education institutions. So the Ministry of Higher Education initiated this program to all colleges in the year 2019 that every institution should develop this skill among the students and the faculty members. So they promoted the startup program by the institutions all over India, and today we find that 2,600 institutions are having startup policy, and so many entrepreneurs are created in the campus before you can even complete your degree. So the minds are open, the innovative talents, the creative talents are tapped here. So thanks to the nation for building the nation, and today we know because of this policy, the GDP growth of the country has attracted many foreign direct investments into the country. Billions of dollars are being invested into the country. And you see, billions of monies are invested in 26 economic sectors. I do not know how many of you read all these things. 26 economic sectors have been classified in India, and the investments have been attracted from foreign companies, and billions of money has been invested in India, in Chennai. You know that so far you have been buying products, mobiles manufactured by foreign companies. Today, the mobile components, all the spare parts of mobiles are manufactured in India, in Chennai. So there is a job creation, and there is a startup that has been started in India, and now many other countries are now purchasing the products of India. You see that Make in India has diverted people using the products of other countries to use the products manufactured in India. And the GDP growth in 2015 was 8%. Today, you know what is the growth, GDP growth? Can anybody tell me what is the GDP rate today? It is 13.5%. So much of growth, which was stagnant for over a period of time, till 2015, the GDP growth was only 8%. You are seeing such a tremendous growth because of so many people have started investing. There are 6 successful women entrepreneurs because of the Make in India, and you find these women have become successful only after 2015, and they are very renowned today. And what is the business they do is homemade tiffin. Homemade tiffin is the item that they have made. They have started in a very small scale with 25 neighboring women. They have started, and they have started to cater to the homemade food, which is a rare phenomenon today. Many of us get only packed food, which contains preservatives. But today, this fresh homemade food is very healthy, and therefore this culture has been promoted. Instead of preservative, people are going for homemade food. And people are looking out for homemade food because they are now wanting to live healthy life. We find that the age span between 28 to 38, many people die of heart attack. You go to the corporate, you find that many people are getting scared because of their eating habits. They have now changed. They have changed their eating habits. They now feel that healthy living is very important, and they have now gone into innovative eating habits. Even innovation is the eating habits we find. And today when the program started, it started with an innovative gift, a tree sampling, which was given as a gift to the chief guest. So every move, I request the students here in Petition College as well as Congo Arts and Science College to come up with, be focused. Your attention should be towards what you want to become. Be more creative. So I would like to highlight on the IDA concept. Your attention, interest, desire, and action will take you to the next level. And we need to be a job provider and not a job seeker. And you must be asking me a question. If all of us are going to be job providers, what about the others who need to work? Definitely, people who cannot think creatively need to look out for jobs. And let's create a healthy India, develop the nation by our skills that God has gifted us. And I want everybody to start thinking, because research today is searching what is existing. Searching what is existing. You need to keep searching. Think differently. Make a difference in whatever ideas you are thinking. That will make you go to the next level. And wish you all the best. And God bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. It's time to unveil the masterpiece of this conference. Yes, it's time to release the conference proceedings of this International Conference on Research, Innovation, and Entrepreneurship for Sustainable Economic Development. I feel extremely happy to invite Dr. H. Vasudevan sir, Dean of Academics, Congo Arts and Science College, to release the conference proceedings. I request Dr. E.T. Loganathan sir, Controller of Examinations, Congo Arts and Science College, to receive. Thank you, sir. I am very glad to invite Brother Dr. A. Stancius, Director and Secretary, Perpetrators College of Arts and Science, to release the conference proceedings. Conveners of the International Conference from Perpetrators College of Arts and Science, Dr. P. V. Manjusha, Head of the Department of Accounting and Finance, Perpetrators College of Arts and Science, and Dr. S. Muthukumarave, Head of the Department of Corporate Secretaryship, Perpetrators College of Arts and Science, are receiving it. Thank you, sirs. Thank you, ma'am. Surely, it was a noteworthy moment. Thank you, everyone, for being a part of this successful moment. It's time to thank everyone, starting from the Almighty to the Steadfast. I invite Dr. F. Meenakshi, Associate Professor, Department of Accounting and Finance, Perpetrators College of Arts and Science, to present the vote of thanks. Please, ma'am.
Gratitude is a wonderful thing. It makes what is excellent in others belong to us also. Very good evening to one and all gathered here. As we have come to the valedictory session, it gives me immense pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks to this august gathering on behalf of the Perpetrators College of Institute of Technology, Bangalore, for providing insight knowledge on the conference topics. I would like to extend my sincere thanks to Dr. Fenella Agnes Island, Dr. Anuradha Prashad, Dr. Joyce Ledina for moderating our presentation sessions. I also extend my special thanks to Mr. Joshua Gerard, Chief Operating Officer, Tamil Nadu Advanced Technical Training Institute, for his valedictory address. I take this opportunity to express my sincere thanks to the management of Congo Arts and Science College, and I extend my heartfelt thanks to the P.D. Thangabil, correspondent, Congo Arts and Science College, Dr. N. Raman, Principal, Dr. H. Vasudevan, Dean of Academics, and Dr. K.K.A. Alavapan, Convener and Head Department of Corporate Secretariat and Professional Accounting, for this innovative collaboration to enrich the research culture in both the institutions and also to inculcate an entrepreneurial mindset among the alpha generation. I thank all the participants and presenters for their active participation. I extend my sincere thanks to the organizing team and volunteers of Perpetrators College of Arts and Science and Congo Arts and Science College of Arts and Science for working hard for the past few months to make this conference a grand success. My special thanks to Ms. Vaideki, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, for her support, and I extend my sincere thanks to Kamal and team and Mr. Jayasilan, Perpetrators College of Arts and Science, for their technical support in organizing the conference in hybrid mode. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, I invite Dr. N. Shantamani, Assistant Professor, Department of Corporate Secretaryship with BA and Professional Accounting, to deliver the welcome.
Good afternoon to one and all present here. I feel honored and privileged to get the opportunity to propose the vote of thanks on this special occasion. First and foremost, thanks Almighty for all the blessings. On behalf of Congo Arts and Science College, Department of Corporate Secretaryship with CA and Professional Accounting, I extend my sincere thanks to all the resource persons, Dr. Iniya Tendral, co-founder, Make Educational Trust and Charitable Foundation USA, Nikunj Panchal, project lead at Startup Tamil Nadu, Khalid Sulaiman Al Salehi, Director, Industrial Incubators and Innovation, Oman, Muscat, Dr. T. Mohanasundram, Associate Professor, Department of Management Studies, MS Ramaya Institute of Technology, Joshua Gerard, Chief Operating Officer, Tamil Nadu Advanced Technical Training Institute, for their sharing knowledge, and also moderators for the presentation session. I wholeheartedly my thanks to the management of Patrician College of Arts and Science, Director and Secretary, Brother Dr. A. Stanislaus, Academic Director, Dr. Fatima Vasant, Principal, Dr. Usha George, and Vice Principal, Dr. Arogya Mary Geeta Das, and Dr. B. Meena for their support and motivation. I take this opportunity to thank Dr. T.V. Manjusha, Head, Department of Accounting and Finance, Dr. S. Muthukumaravel, Head of the Department of Corporate Secretaryship, Patrician College of Arts and Science, for their support. And I also express my heartfelt thanks to Dr. Sri Priya, IIC Coordinator, Patrician College of Arts and Science, for her continuous support and guidance. I also express my thanks to the organizing committee members of both the institutions for their excellent coordination in making this conference successful one. I would like to thank the people who worked behind the scene to make this event happen. our technical arrangement team and stage setting in Konga Arts and Science College, Department of Corporate Secretaryship with CA and Professional Accounting Hero. Last but not least, a big thank you to each of you who made this conference for all of us. Once again, thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I once again thank both the management officials for their constant support, all the faculty members from both the premises for their tireless efforts, all the scholars for their curiosity, and especially all the speakers for sharing their precious knowledge. Surely, this international conference will remain as a milestone in the history of both the colleges. Thank you, everyone.
Mic on.
Thank you, students. You can leave now. You can attend your classes. Thank you. Dear students, you have been a wonderful audience.
Then
Like 1 minute. Yes.